The billionaire Sheikh spoke swiftly in Arabic, and only the maid answered, silencing everyone instantly. The air inside the Westwood Hotel's presidential suite was dense with tension as the $4.8 billion deal teetered on the verge of falling apart. For 3 days, Pinnacle Investments executives have been locked in exhausting talks with Sheikh Al-Farsi and his team from the Abu Dhabi Sovereign Fund. Despite bringing their top negotiators and 2 certified translators, communication had degraded so badly that both sides were ready to abandon what would have been Manhattan's largest real estate development in years. James Wilson, Pinnacle CEO, had just offered what he believed was a fair compromise on profit distribution when Sheikh Al-Farsi abruptly switched from his precise, Oxford-accented English to a fast, sharp Arabic. His voice carried irritation, his gestures animated, as he addressed his advisors directly, intentionally cutting out the Americans. The 2 translators Pinnacle employed, both seasoned in diplomatic circles, shared uneasy looks, struggling to interpret his Gulf dialect mixed with technical finance jargon. Wilson felt his gut clench as he watched months of work dissolve. They had poured millions into legal preparations to redevelop 5 blocks of prime Manhattan land into a landmark green complex. Now everything was collapsing over a basic misinterpretation no one could fix. Then came an unexpected voice. "If I may, Your Excellency," said a clear, calm voice in flawless Arabic from across the room. All eyes turned to Maria Alvarez, quietly replacing empty coffee pots in her standard black and white housekeeping uniform. She stood straight, addressing the Sheikh directly in his native tongue. Silence fell. Sheikh Al-Farsi's frown turned to astonishment while his advisors gaped at her. Pinnacle's team froze in confusion. Richard Turner, Wilson's deputy, half rose to object, but Wilson placed a steadying hand on his arm, curiosity outweighing caution. "You speak Northern Gulf Arabic?" Sheikh Al-Farsi asked, suspicion lacing his surprise. "Yes, Your Excellency," Maria replied smoothly. "It seems there's confusion about the financing structure. If I understood, you're worried that the contingency clause in Section 4.3 would let Pinnacle dilute the fund's voting power if certain targets aren't met." The Sheikh's eyes narrowed as he studied her. "You grasp these technical terms?" Maria nodded humbly. "I do, sir. The translation so far hasn't captured the nuance of these financial terms. What Mr. Wilson meant is that both parties would agree on benchmarks with equal safeguards." The Sheikh leaned in, intrigued. "How do you know the details of this contract and speak our dialect so precisely?" Pinnacle executives glanced at each other in disbelief, while Wilson's face drained of color, realizing their hotel maid was intervening in the negotiation that defined his career. Yet he stayed silent, noticing the Sheikh's anger fading to interest. "I have a master's in international finance from NYU, specializing in Middle Eastern investments," Maria explained in Arabic. "I spent 3 years at the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority under Dr. Faisal Rahman before returning to the U.S. for family reasons. I grew up in Sharjah from ages 8 to 17, while my father worked for ADNOC." One advisor whispered urgently to the Sheikh, whose eyes widened in recognition. "You worked on the Al Maria Island project," he stated. "Your payment model designs were quite innovative." Maria bowed her head slightly. "Your memory honors me, sir." Wilson, unable to follow the Arabic conversation, but sensing its importance, finally spoke up. "Miss, do you work for this hotel?" Maria turned to him and switched seamlessly to English. "Yes, Mr. Wilson. I'm pursuing my PhD at Columbia. The flexible hours help cover my tuition and living costs." Turner blinked in disbelief. "And you understand all these technical details?" "I've been serving this suite for 3 days, Mr. Turner," she said evenly. "I've overheard every discussion. The translations have significant gaps, particularly around the contingency clauses." Sheikh Al-Farsi addressed Wilson directly. "Your translators are capable with formal Arabic, but they lack understanding of Gulf business terminology. This woman understands both finance and cultural nuance. Wilson's mind raced. This deal, the most critical of his career, now hinged on a maid who had silently been serving coffee while absorbing their confidential talks. "Ms. Alvarez," he said carefully, "would you help clarify these points for us?" Before Maria could answer, Turner leaned in urgently. "James, this is irregular. We can't just— Your translators know textbook Arabic," Sheikh Al-Farsi cut in, overhearing. "But she understands the vocabulary and context needed here." He turned to Maria. "Would you mediate for us, with fair compensation?" "Of course," she said, glancing at her watch. "I have an evening class in an hour, but I can't assist until then. If you need me later, I'll need to arrange with hotel management." "We'll handle that," Wilson said firmly, "and ensure your compensation reflects your value." Maria inclined her head diplomatically. Taking her place at the negotiation table, she began untangling misunderstandings, rephrasing cultural assumptions, and translating complex concepts with quiet authority. The Sheikh's concern, she explained to Wilson after an intense exchange in Arabic, is not profit sharing itself, but governance control if outcomes underperform. In Gulf culture, decision power often outweighs monetary gains. Mr. Wilson's focus on metrics isn't distrust. It reflects American corporate governance standards. Within an hour, the tense atmosphere softened into focused dialogue. Both parties resolved the major deadlocks threatening the deal. As Maria stood to leave, smoothing her uniform, Sheikh Al-Farsi rose in respect. "You've been invaluable, Ms. Alvarez. May I see you tomorrow?" "I'm free after 2 p.m., she replied. Wilson, moved by her impact, approached. "Would you consult with Pinnacle for the duration of these talks? We'll pay standard financial advisory rates." Maria considered. "I must cover my family's needs. I can't abandon my shifts." "We'll take care of that," Wilson assured her. "Your compensation will reflect your expertise." After she left, silence filled the suite. Finally, the Sheikh said to Wilson, "You Americans surprise me. You bring translators who miss meaning. Yet the woman serving coffee knows our dialect and finance better than your team." Wilson flushed. "We didn't know that a maid could be educated," the Sheikh finished gently. "In my country, we say, judge the well by its water, not its ornaments." One advisor added, "I remember Ms. Alvarez from Adia. Her sustainable finance models were advanced." Wilson exchanged a silent look with Turner, realizing the woman they'd ignored possessed expertise beyond many of their own staff. "Perhaps," Wilson said softly, "we need to reconsider our assumptions." The next afternoon at 2:15 sharp, Maria arrived not in uniform but a simple navy suit, carrying a leather portfolio instead of a tray. The transformation was striking. The hotel manager had told Wilson, "She's one of our best. We always knew she was overqualified. But finance jobs aren't easy to get, especially for," he hadn't finished, but Wilson understood, "especially for a young Latino woman without powerful connections." As Maria took her seat, Sheikh Al-Farsi greeted her warmly. "We reviewed your Adia work. Your ESG integration paper was remarkable." "Thank you, Your Excellency. That was my thesis project." Turner blurted out, "How does someone like you end up here, cleaning hotel rooms?" Maria finished calmly. "The 2008 crisis wiped out entry roles just as I graduated. After my father died, I needed immediate income for my family. Hospitality offered flexible hours while I pursued my doctorate." The quiet that followed spoke volumes about the systemic barriers her story revealed. The Sheikh nodded. "Life takes unexpected turns. True character shows in how you navigate them." Wilson cleared his throat. "Shall we continue?" Over the next 2 days, Maria proved invaluable not just as translator, but as an architect of the deal structure. Her deep understanding of Western and Gulf financial practices bridged gaps no one else could. By day 3, the agreement was ready. The Sheikh's advisor nodded in approval. "Ms. Alvarez's revisions preserve our safeguards while maintaining project viability." The Sheikh addressed Wilson. We are ready to proceed. Your company's sustainability goals align with ours. Ms. Alvarez's input has been pivotal. As contracts were signed, Maria quietly finalized her consulting fee, equal to 6 months of hotel pay, enough to reduce her shifts and focus on her dissertation. Before leaving, the Sheikh approached. We're opening a sustainability division in New York. Would you discuss a potential role with us post-doctorate? Maria's composure flickered with surprise. I would be honored. The Sheikh smiled. Your performance has been interview enough. Wilson approached too. We would value you at Pinnacle as well. Please consider both options. For someone who had been invisible to men like Wilson, this sudden recognition might have overwhelmed her. But Maria simply replied with quiet grace. Thank you both. For now, my focus remains completing my PhD. We can speak further when the time comes. As everyone filed out, a junior executive held the door for her. A courtesy unthinkable 3 days before. Alone in the elevator with Wilson, silence stretched until he spoke. Ms. Alvarez, I owe you an apology. Not just for missing your talent, but for failing to see you at all until I needed you. Maria studied him evenly. There are many invisible people, Mr. Wilson. Cleaners, couriers, baristas. They all have stories and capabilities that might surprise you. As the elevator reached the lobby, she added softly, perhaps the real opportunity here isn't just your business deal, but learning to see them. She stepped out, leaving Wilson thoughtful. 6 months later, media outlets hailed the Manhattan Sustainable Development Project as a triumph of global cooperation. Photos showed Wilson and Sheikh Al-Farsi shaking hands. None mentioned how a hotel maid saved the deal. Nor did they note that Maria Alvarez, now Dr. Alvarez, had become Director of Sustainability Integration for the joint venture, with a corner office in the very tower where she once served coffee. On her desk her first day lay a small wrap box. Inside was an elegant pen with Arabic engraving. The note read, "Judge the well by its water. May you continue to surprise those wise enough to see your worth." Maria placed the pen gently on her desk, a reminder of the journey that brought her there.